My name is Natalie Brooks, and I am 34 years old. The night my sister Melissa Carter announced she was expecting her fourth child, no one asked how I felt, no one asked if I was tired, busy, or had a life beyond being available. We were sitting at a backyard cookout in Austin, Texas, plates still warm and glasses of iced tea on the table, when my mother clapped happily and said there would be a big celebration. Then she turned to me with a soft but certain tone and said I would help with the kids when Melissa needed rest. My father didn't speak, but his look made it clear that refusing wasn't an option. I calmly asked, "Why me?" "That's not my responsibility," and the entire table fell silent. Melissa laughed sharply and said I was free anyway and should consider it practice, as if my life existed only to support hers. I didn't argue. I simply picked up my bag, took my dish, and left, thinking one quiet no would finally set a boundary. The next morning, I received a call from a police officer at a community center in Denver, saying 3 children had been left there with a note claiming I was responsible for them. When I arrived, I saw my nieces and nephew sitting there confused and tired, and the note, written in Melissa's handwriting, stated that I had agreed to watch them. I showed the officer my messages clearly refusing, and in that moment, what my family called help was exposed as something forced and dishonest. Over the next 2 days, I discovered something even worse. My name had been used without my permission on school forms in Seattle, daycare records in Chicago, and even medical documents in a clinic in Toronto, Canada. Fake signatures, false authorizations, and written agreements I had never made showed that this was never about one favor, it was a plan to make me responsible long-term without consent. That's when I contacted a lawyer and decided to handle things properly. Legal notices were sent, my name was removed from every record, and clear boundaries were established, but my family still didn't stop. A few days later, my brother-in-law showed up at my workplace, a children's hospital in Boston, with the kids, trying to leave them there and publicly shame me while recording everything. What he didn't realize was that hospitals operate on rules and documentation, not emotions. Security stepped in, reports were filed, and for the first time, their actions had real consequences. The situation reached its peak at a fundraiser in Atlanta, where my family presented themselves as struggling and implied I had abandoned them. Instead of arguing, I stepped forward and calmly showed messages, reports, and documents. The truth shifted the room, people began to question the story they had been told, and sympathy turned into doubt. Over time, everything changed. My sister lost her credibility online, my brother-in-law lost his job, and my parents were finally forced to face the reality of what they had expected from me. For the first time, they had to manage their own responsibilities. I moved to Raleigh, North Carolina, where I built a peaceful life that belonged to me. I still cared about the children, but in a healthy way. I sent gifts, supported their future quietly, and made sure my help was given by choice, not pressure. Because love should never feel like an obligation, and responsibility should never be forced onto someone without consent. In every family, there should be care and support, but also fairness and accountability. Parents must carry the responsibility of their own choices, children deserve stability, and no one should be burdened unfairly. Helping others is meaningful only when it comes from the heart, not from guilt or pressure, because respect is not shown through silence and love is not proven through exhaustion. Sometimes the most important lesson you can teach others is where your limits begin. So think about it. Have you ever been treated like a backup plan in your own family? And if you were in my place, would you stay silent or stand up for yourself?